What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about a brand new film coming out later this week, and that movie is Dormouse. Written, directed, and starring Avan Jogia in his feature-length directorial and writing debut, this film also stars people like Hayley, Keith Powers, Famke Janssen, Donald Logue, and many more. Before we get too far into this, I'd like to take a big moment and thank those beautiful people over at Gravitas Ventures for sending me over another early screener for one of their movies. This time around, the movie Dormouse, that'll be hitting select theaters as well as on-demand digital platforms later this week on January 13th. Again, a big thanks to Gravitas Ventures for sending me over another screener, and let's get into my thoughts on this one. Dormouse focuses on a burlesque dancer who's also an aspiring comic book artist by the name of Mouse. This movie is a very interesting film tonally, and it's probably one of my favorite things about this film, as it is a comic book inspired, almost neon noir kind of film. Very, very vivid in terms of color, very stylized in terms of color, and everything about the look, the feel, the angst, the punk rock elements to this film definitely gives it its own energy and style. And one of the most interesting things about this film is, as I mentioned, our main character Mouse is an aspiring comic book artist writing comics about her own life, and over the course of the film is writing comic books based on the events of this film, and spliced throughout the film are actual animated comic book segments. Mostly around the action. I feel like that's where they were trying to save their budget. There are moments where Mouse goes to do something. Maybe she busts down a door. Maybe she goes into a room and hits somebody. And the movie will instantly change into a comic book little bit of a moment. And it kind of gives it its own little bit of a flair, which I thought was definitely a cool part of this film, as the main character is an aspiring comic book artist and we have splices of comic book elements throughout the course of the film. Not long into the film, we see that Mouse has taken it upon herself to go in search of two other burlesque dancers that work at her burlesque bar who have gone missing. The owner of this bar, and the one that they call Mama, is played by Famke Janssen, and they have all kind of united their minds together to try to see if they can discover who is out there taking these girls. Alongside Mouse, you have her friend Ugly, played by Keith Powers, who I thought was a pretty solid sidekick to the character of Mouse. He's a guy who isn't your typical dude. He's not out here to sleep with these girls or to spend time with them sexually in any way, shape, or form, or to even see them that way. Instead, he actually has feelings for Hayley Law's character, Mouse. And over the course of the film, he's the one gentleman who stands alongside her, helping her through all these situations. And as time goes on, Mouse would start to uncover some pretty shady and dark things with a bit of a criminal underworld, and I won't say anything else. This is an interesting film, as I mentioned before, as I kind of described it as a comic book inspired neon noir kind of film. Again, visually, I really enjoyed the look and feel of this film. I thought the costume design was awesome. I thought the lighting was great. I thought the camera angles were awesome. It has a very artsy indie feel to it. You can definitely tell they were working on a budget, but I think that they did utilize that in terms of visuals and performance to have its own unique feel and vibe. All the actors feel like they know exactly what kind of movie they're in, so everybody's kind of giving offbeat performances. This is not our own world. Similar to what we would see in plenty of other noir films, this is a film where the main character Mouse, played by Hayley Law, is giving us, narration throughout the course of the film as things are being uncovered. And then when you have those little splices of animated comic book moments, it definitely heightens the overall noir feel and vibe of this film, definitely harkening back to the old days of noir, while also adding its own feel and vibe that gives this film a very unique identity. However, as much as I love the lighting, the colors, the look, the feel, the vibe, even the very consistent performances and the overall production value of the film, and the fact that all the actors just knew what kind of movie they were in, it seemed like they were having a lot of fun. As much as I enjoyed the weird, different energy of this film and what came with it, I was unfortunately a little bit let down by the story. As I mentioned, the base premise is just that we have Mouse going out to find these two other burlesque dancers who have gone missing. And over the course of the film, she's uncovering some things. She's finding out that she's asking the wrong questions. She's asking some dangerous questions as time goes on, and she starts to uncover some dark things. But as much as I enjoyed the team up of Mouse and Ugly and some of these other characters we get in the mix and some of the interesting elements filmmaking wise, I just found myself feeling a little bit bored and dull throughout the course of this film, as the story for me was fairly predictable and it wasn't really ever something I ever found myself super invested or connected to. That was where I struggled the most with this film, as you have really good performances and you have a lot about this film that I feel really works, but ultimately by the time I got to the end of the runtime, the movie felt its runtime. I really felt like it dragged. I felt like every minute of the movie at a certain point. After I got past a certain point and was already like, oh, this is cool stylistically, and now I was just trying to absorb the story and the characters, I just found myself disconnected from them. I never really found myself super invested in the narrative. And by the time the movie was over, I was like, that was a decent time. I wasn't crazy about it. I wanted to like it a lot more because over the course of the movie, I was consistently impressed with the filmmaking elements of it and all the things that helped bring this film to life visually. And I had just nothing but admiration for the hard work that went in from the cast to have this very consistent offbeat tone in terms of the way that they deliver their dialogue and the way that they overall performed these characters. There was something about it that was subdued and kind of lived in its own universe. And I really like that. I love films and filmmakers that are able to have a unique identity, especially when it comes to the actors having a consistent bit of an offbeat performance, and that there's something about the cadence of their dialogue that is very specific to a film like this. And so while I enjoyed all of that as a film fan, while I admired all of that as a film fan, I just really wished as the movie was progressing that I found myself more invested in the story, more invested in these characters. But unfortunately, by the time we got to the end of the runtime, I wasn't a huge fan. Now, I say all of this knowing wholeheartedly, as I said in my review over on Letterboxd, that I feel like without a doubt, I am not going to be surprised in any way, shape, or form if in a couple of months or in a couple of years, I start to hear that there are people who just love this film and that there is a cult fan base growing. This is one of those films that can easily build a cult fan base because of its offbeat, very unique identity that the film has. I do apologize if you guys hear the people outside. I just decided to start leaf blowing, which is beautiful every time I start a video. But anyway, a big thanks to you guys for watching this video. I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about this one. Have you seen Dormouse? Did you like it? Did you not like it? I'm definitely in the camp where I feel like I have so much appreciation for the filmmaking that went into it and what's seen on screen. I feel like there's so much talent on screen and behind screen to bring this film to life, even if I didn't connect to the story, that I can totally see that there's going to be people that love this film or people that slowly just start to learn about this film and kind of add it to a bit of a cult favorite kind of thing for them. So, you know what? If you saw this movie, you're watching my review and you're like, hey man, sorry you didn't connect to the story, but I did, then I would love to hear from you because I definitely want to hear what worked for you, what didn't work for you, all that beautiful stuff. So a big thanks to you guys for watching. A big thanks to those great people over at Gravitas Ventures for sending me over another early screener. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Avan Jogia's career moving forward, as I'm hoping that he directs and writes more films, because I think this is a really great launching pad as a writing directing debut. You know, I've looked through the rest of his filmography, and while I remember him from the days of the show Victorious on Nickelodeon back in the day, it's nice to see that he's been directing and writing some short films to the point where now he can do a feature-length film. And I think it's a really interesting and different launching pad that could definitely, you know, set out for some awesome feature-length film follow-ups as time goes on. So a big thanks to you guys for watching. Definitely want to hear what you guys have to say, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.